I have been doing inductive Akkadian grammar, and we did this in the prologue, in the epilogue of Hammurapi. And now I'm working through some of the prologue, doing a word by word grammatical analysis of the Akkadian grammar. And we basically have worked our way up to, let me just figure out the line here, to line 27. But let me just read a little bit. Inu anam siram shar ananuki, when Anum, the exalted king of the Anunnaki, and Enlil, the Enlil Bel Sha'im, and Enlil, the Lord who determines Shemat Matim, the destinies of the land. Ana Dinger Marduk, to Marduk, Marim Reshtim, the firstborn son, Shah Dinger Enki, or Ea of Enki. Then it's got Dinger Elilut, the Enlil functions, and the Sumerian Enlil was in the Akkadian text, but you bring it into Elilu, was in the Sumerian, but you bring it into the Akkadian Enlilu, the same functions that Enlil has. Kisat Nishi Ishi Mushum. That is, for the totality of mankind, he established him, or for him. In Igigi Ushardishu, that is, among the Igigi, he made him great. Babylon, Kadingara ki Babylon, Shumshu Siram Ibu, by its exalted name, he named in Kibratim, in the world, Ushat Terushu, he caused it to be great. Ina Libishu, in the midst of Sharutam Daritam, of a perpetual kingship, Shakima Shameh U Ersetim, which are as the heaven and the earth, Ishda Shah, its foundations, Shur Shuda, firmly founded, he established for him, U Kinu Shu. And so basically, that's where we stopped last time. And now we pick up in Numishu. By the way, in the ancient Near Eastern text, there's a wonderful translation on page 164, and it reads, when lofty Anum, king of the Ananuki, and Enlil, Lord of heaven and earth, the determiner of the destinies of the land, determined for Marduk, the firstborn of Enki, the Enlil functions over all mankind, made him great among the Igigi, called Babylon by its exalted name, made it supreme in the world, established for him in the midst an enduring kingship, whose foundations are as firm as heaven and earth. That is where we stopped last time, looking at the Akkadian grammar inductively, pretty much word by word. And so, by the way, I think you should be able to find a transliteration of the Hammurabi's prologue, an Akkadian transliteration of the cuneiform text. Normalization I do, but I haven't had the someone to type it for me and put it out. Eventually I want to get it out, much like, and I have a friend that said he would do it, much like what we did with the epilogue of Hammurapi, where we had the transliteration, the normalization, the translation, and then we worked from the grammar. But I think if you can follow along I'm sure it's out on Google or Google Books. You can find it in a number of places. Follow along in the transliteration, and I will read my normalization, and then we will translate it and do the grammar inductively. So we stop on line 27. And I'm reading it then. Inumishu Hammurapi or Hammurapi Rabam Rabam na Adam Paliich Eli. In other words, I would normalize it as Inumishu Hammurapi Rabam na Adam Palich Eli, and then let me just stop there. I would translate it in those days, or we could say Inu Mishu would be in those days. And we could even translate it then Hammurapi. Then he begins to talk about himself and how great Hammurapi is. So he wrote, Rubam, the prince, na Adam, that is, the devout prince. Rubam comes from the noun rubum, if you're looking at the genitive, and that is an accusative singular. Notice represents the accusative case in Akkadian, singular. So the prince, na Adam, the devout prince. The adjective na Adam means the devout. So Hammurabi, the prince devout, or the devout prince, Palich Eli, the one who fears the God. And I'm going to render this the gods, since he's been talking about all the gods here in the prologue. Palich is from palahu, it is the G participle masculine singular with the AI vowel pattern. So the one who fears Eli, and I'm taking this, the one who fears of the gods, as an oblique genitive plural, rather than just the singular, unless we understand God as a collective genitive singular. So the one who fears of the gods, or the gods, then it goes on, Yati mi misharam ina matim ana shupim ragam utsenam ana hulukim. So let me just stop there. The one who fears the gods, Yati, means me. And then he's going to talk about what he has brought or accomplished. Misharum, or Misharam, is again the accusative singular from Misharu, justice. The one who, me, justice, ina matim. Ina is the preposition in, and matim is the genitive singular from matu, in the land. Ana shupiim, or ana shupim, and I'm translating this to make resplendent, or to make to appear. And nana ana, again takes the genitive singular in shupim, to make from shupu or shupum something that is resplendent, to make appearance, or for that which is resplendent. And then he begins to define what his laws would do. Ragam utsenam, that is ragam utsenam. Ragam is again the accusative singular from ragu. We could say the evil person, or the evil one. So the wicked or evil, and u is the conjunction and senam meaning and the evil one. In other words, the wicked and the evil one. And notice the ending shows that we're in the accusative case again, singular or direct object. So the evil doer and the evil one, or the wicked one and evil one, ana hulukim. And this is normalized, ana hulukim, that is for destruction. Again, ana takes the genitive singular in the im. So for destruction. In other words, he's going to do away with the wicked and the evildoer. And then in line 37, Danu in sha'am ana lachabaliim. And so we would normalize that. Danum, the strong, in sham, the weak. It's from in shu, and it means weak. And danum here is the nominative singular, the strong, and then the accusative singular in sham. That's from in shu, or in shu, meaning the weak. So the strong, the weak, to not oppress. Ana la chabalim, or ana chabaliim. And in normalization, ana la chabalim, that is to oppressing, to not, literally. La is the negative particle for not oppressing. So what he's saying is that he's making these laws that the strong would not oppress the weak, not for not oppressing the ensham, the weak. And then he continues to brag upon what he's done as a lawgiver. Kima dinger sham shash, or dinger utu, capital UTU, is the Sumerian for Shamish, which is the sun god. So as here, Kima is like Ket in Hebrew, as Shamash, the sun god, and we write Shamash from Utu, the Sumerian, as Shamash, Ana Salmat Kakadim. And by the way, the text reads Ana Sag G. That is capital SAG, period, and then we have GI6. And Sag G means the black-headed ones of, or the black ones of head, or the black-headed ones, we could say. And this is referring to mankind as a whole. And notice Ana is taking the genitive case here. Salmat is in construct with kakadim, to the black ones of heads, kakadim, or of heads. In other words, to the black-headed ones, or the black ones of head, we could say. And I'm understanding kakadim here to be your genitive singular, the black ones of head, or we would translate it the black-headed ones, referring to mankind as a whole. And then we read on in verse 42, Watsem, going out. This is from Watsu. It's the accusative singular, Watsem, and it's looking at the sun going out or arising. And that's the way he feels that he's going to make the law like Shamash, like the sun arising, and to bring light on evil and upon wrong. And then line 43, me matim nu wu ri'im. Here we have genitive matim, of the land, from matu. Matu means land. And im again is the genitive singular. So as the rising of the land, and then we have nu wu ri'im. And I'm understanding this to be from the word nu wu rum, which means brilliance. That is, as the brilliance of the land, like the sun providing brilliance in the country, in the land. That's what he feels his laws will be able to do. And then he talks about really the subject. You come really, in a sense, to the subject of this long preceding lines in what we read now. Anum, or an, and u dinger enlil. We've already talked about anu and enlil in the first in the first of what we did, where anu is the storm god and enlil the wind, and they were two of the great gods of Babylon, in my understanding. So anum, an, u, enlil, and enlil. Then he goes on in line 47. Anna she'ir nishi. Literally, for the flesh of the people. Anna is taking the genitive case here, for, and shir is from shirum. So for the flesh, nishi, of the people. And it's from nishu, meaning people, or nishu. That is, for the flesh of the people. And then we have tu ubiim in line 48. And if we normalize it, it would be tu beam, for the physical well-being of the people of goodness, or for goodness. In other words, for the physical well-being or goodness of the people. And if we put all this together, for the flesh of the people of goodness, and hence for the goodness of the flesh of the people, or for the well-being or physical well-being of the people, these two gods named my name. And so now we come to the subject and the naming of Hammurabi. So line 49, shu mi ibu, that is, my name they decreed, or they named. Notice shumi is from shumu, meaning name, and e is your pronominal suffix, first person singular. So my name they called, or they decreed. And this is from nabu, meaning to call or decree. And here we have a G preterite, third masculine singular, from nabu, to name. Notice this is a lot like in Hebrew the pay noon verb, or the one noon, where the N here has assimilated into by the B and hence doubles. So in bu became ibbu, and it's the same kind of phenomenon like we have in yintain from Natan becoming yitain. Same idea of progressive assimilation, hence doubling of the first radical, which would be the in here, ibbu. So what the text trying to put it together, in my understanding, that what we're looking at here is that the two gods, Anu and Enlil, called my name or decreed my name, me. And then he talks about how great he is. Hammurapi, the great prince, the one who fears the gods, justice in the land, for to make appear, for appearing or bringing to appear, that the wicked and the evil one for destruction, the strong to destroy or not to destroy the weak, as Shamish for the black-headed ones, that would refer to mankind as a whole, going out or rising, bringing light. That's what I'm like and what I've done in my laws. Of the, can I say, brilliance of the land, all of that he's bragging about himself, and the subject, in my understanding, goes with Anum and Enlil appointed me, or called me, decreed my name to do all of these things for the flesh of the people of the land, for the well-being or the goodness of the flesh of the people of the land. And that is fits well with the good translation in ancient Near Eastern text, which it reads, at that time, Anum and Enlil named me. Notice the subject here, naming me, comes at the beginning if we're translating it into English. But in the way it reads in the Akkadian, it's at the end of all of this other. So basically, at that time, Anum and Enlil named me to do all of these wonderful things, to promote the welfare of the people, me, Hammurapi. And actually, to promote the welfare of the people is put first in the translation in terms of good readable English. Then it talks about how great he is. He's saying the devout, God-fearing prince, to cause justice to prevail in the land, to the destruction of the wicked and the evil, that the strong might not oppress the weak, to rise like the sun over the black-headed people, and to light up the land. So what's interesting, when you're translating this, the last couple lines actually would be put at the beginning in translation to make it read well in English. And that seems, from my understanding, to follow more of a Sumerian order of putting the subject at the end, and the verb, the main verb, he decreed, or they decreed my name for the flesh or the physical well-being of the people, of the goodness, for the physical well-being. They decreed my name. And then we go back and he talks about who I am, Hammurabi saying. Hammurabi, me, the great prince, the one who fears the gods, to basically be the one who's going to establish justice in the land, to make it appear that the wicked and the evil ones might be for destruction, and that the strong, not where they cannot, can we say, oppress the weak, as, and I'm appointed like the sun, like Shamash, to the mankind as a whole, which I think Zalmat Kakadim is representing here to the black-headed ones, as going out when the sun rises, it lightens up everything and brings brilliance to the country or the land. That's what I am going to do in these laws. And the result was already stated at the beginning. That is, my name he called. Why? For the flesh of the people and for their well-being. And who am I? Then he talks about who he is and what he wants to do in his law code. So thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful. I'm enjoying it, trying to review the Akkadian I had years ago, as I'm a retired seminary professor, and just enjoy grammar and trying to work through it. By the way, feel free to correct me. I'm not an Akkadiologist. My seminary work was in biblical studies with a minor in Greek. I think I've shared that, a THD, a Doctor of Theology. And my PhD was in ancient Near Eastern languages. So I worked mainly, though, in Hebrew Bible in all of my years of teaching. So feel free to correct me. If you're an Akkadiologist and you see some things we've made grammatically, I'd be happy to accept any thoughts that you might have. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this is helpful.